Roll call, please.
Supervisor Carroll.
Here.
Supervisor Elias.
Present.
Supervisor Miller.
Here.
Supervisor Valadez.
Present.
Chair Bronson.
Here, let the record show all board members are present. Supervisor Carroll joining us telephonically.
Madam Chair,
Supervisor Elias.
before we go to our invocation, I just wanted to make a comment.
On
in
the personal
the vein of a
privilege.
personal privilege.
Proceed.
Today is Fat Tuesday, the day before Ash Wednesday. And Ash Wednesday begins 40 days of ceremony by the Yoeme people who live here in our valley with us and have for centuries. Yaqui people, this is their most sacred time of the year, and their ceremonies take place really over the next 40 days. And Supervisor Valadez and I both represent neighborhoods that Yoeme people live in, and there's some great ceremonies that are open to the public that have been conducted for centuries, long before the Yaquis even came to Arizona, that are conducted, and they're really beautiful, and it's a great opportunity to gain an understanding of a different way of looking at the world. And so I just wanted to mention that as we head into this sacred season, and recognize that these ceremonies really encompass the entire community. It's not just the dancers, the fariseos, and the chapayecas, but rather the entire community participates in these ceremonies in various ways. So thank you. And I know you represent some Yaqui people as well.
Well, and you go in Pueblo, in Moreno, yeah.
So anyways, thank you very much for that moment.
Thank you. And now, if you will rise for the invocation to be given by Reverend Bob Holliday, St. James United Methodist Church, with the pleasant pledge of allegiance to follow, led by Supervisor Elias.
Thank you so much. Members of the Board of Supervisors, first, let me thank you for the opportunity to be with you this morning and invite you to join me in an attitude of prayer. Loving a God and Creator, as we gather here this morning, we give you thanks. Thanks for the abundant blessings that you've provided us. Thanks for those that you have called to provide wisdom and leadership, and for their passion for justice. We give you thanks for their willingness to give of themselves to our community, the welfare of those in need, and a discerning heart to sense your direction in all that they do, so your will may be done, and we all may be instruments of your greater good. During this special holy time, this Lenten time of year, help us to remember who we are and what we are not. In your most blessed name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend. And now we come to item 4 on the agenda, pause for pause. And Officer Bowden has brought us King, who is a German Shepherd mix. He looks more like maybe a Keith or a Great Dane to me. And he's about 18 months old, and he's neutered, and he's ready to go find a permanent home, his forever home.
Thank you. Yeah, he does look like he could have some Dane in him. I
Yeah.
thought the same thing as well. The ears though are in the coloring is some shepherd of some sort in there as well.
Yeah.
But he is what we call a Sonora purebred. And this is King. He is been with us. He's what we call our long-term resident. He's been there longer than any of the other dogs. Our dog that we brought last time, Debo, our previous long-term resident, has been adopted. And he had been with us since October 31st, so that was quite a long stay with us. He's been with us since November 10th, so we're moving to the calendar here, and hopefully he'll get out of there, and I'll have a more recent dog next week. He, as you can see, is very, very, very interested in this food. Keep me busy with that for a little bit. He's got a lot of puppy left in him, just a year and a half. He was adopted as a puppy, and the person that adopted him didn't have the time for him, they found. And he was pretty much just in the backyard by himself all day, every day. So he's looking for somebody who's got a little bit more time. He's got a fantastic jump, so if you're into frisbee or catch or something like that, this would be a great dog for that. He does want to be active, so please, if you're a couch potato, please don't take this dog home because he doesn't want to just sit around. He does want to play. So, but he is pretty well mannered most of the time. And because he's been there so long, his adoption fee is waived, and it's just a $15 licensing fee, which is quite a deal because he's neutered, has a microchip, and rabies vaccination. Cats as well this month will be $30, and he's adopted is waived, but the other ones are $30 with a $15 license. So $45 gets you an all-good dog with a microchip and a rabies vaccination. And he will be ready to go home today because everything's already been done on him. So we're open at noon today. We'll be open until 7 if you get a chance to come by. If you or someone you know is looking for a great dog, they're waiting. And like I said, he's been there since November 10th, so we want to get him into a home before too much of this great weather gets by us. So I'm sure all of you too want to enjoy the weather. It's a perfect companion for it. So thank you for your time, and King appreciates it. And as you can see, he's been a pretty good sport this whole time we've been here. So hopefully that's charmed somebody out there and he can get on his way to a new home today. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair,
Supervisor Elias.
I would just comment that King is a good name, but I would change his name.
So would I.
I would change his name to Patita Blanca because he's got one white foot.
It's
You know, and that'd be a good name for this dog, I think. But it's a baseball dog, Jake, you know, and I think you ought to talk to all those teams that are going to be out there at Keeneland Sports Complex over the next few weeks. See if any of those families want to adopt a dog. Help us get the word out that we have really nice animals over there at the Animal Care Center. And Rick, you could take home Patita Blanca right now if you wanted to. 4 of them, 5 of them then, you know.
Well, you know,
I know, that's what I mean, then you'll have 5, it's okay.
but Supervisor Elias, we have a new member of the press with us today.
Jamar, you know, you might want to take home Patita Blanca here too, you know. I mean, that white foot, you know, it's a nice dog.
I really appreciate that name.
He's wearing U of A colors, so he might like a dog like that.
That's a fantastic name, though. I really appreciate
You like
that.
that?
King is way too ordinary for this dog, so I definitely appreciate
He's
that.
got a nice spirit.
Good choice. Thank you.
Thank you, officer. All right, we're moving on now to executive session items. We have 3 executive session items on the agenda. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move that we move into executive session. Second.
Motion and a second. If there are no objections, we'll convene an executive session and then return at the sound of the gavel.
Shouldn't be that long. I found out that. Take care of the dog home, Bill. You don't really want to live.
You're right, I really don't.
I want to notice for the record, I didn't do it in the.
There you go.
We are back in regular session. Let me confirm with Supervisor Carroll that you are on the line and that you can hear us.
Yes, I can hear you, Chairperson Brunson.
And then one more point of order, Supervisor Carroll, in order for your vote to be recorded, we need to have you verbally acknowledge, say yes or aye over the phone so we can formally in the minutes include your vote.
Okay, well, I voted in the affirmative to go to executive session, so I've only missed that one. I'll make sure
All
I
right.
verbalize my votes from now on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And with that, we're back in regular session. Counselor.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, executive session item 2 on the addendum agenda concerns a proposed settlement in Casas Adobe's Baptist Church versus Pima County, Arizona Tax Court case number TX 2012-78. This case involves plaintiff's challenge to the valuation of a freestanding building located at 2175 West Ina Road, corner of West Ina Road and La Cholla Boulevard, and owned by Casas Adobe's Baptist Church. It is currently managed under a long-term lease, however, as a retail pharmacy store by Walgreens Corporation. The proposed settlement would reduce the full cash value of the subject parcel from its current value for the tax year 2013. The legal classification and assessment ratio will remain the same. The resulting total decrease for tax year 2013 will be approximately $20,555. The new values will statutorily roll over to tax year 2014, and the total tax savings for both years then would be $43,170.93. As part of the settlement, both sides agree to bear their own costs for attorney's fees and litigation expenses. The Pima County Assessor and the County Attorney recommend the proposed settlement.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair,
Supervisor Elias.
move the county attorney and county assessor's recommendation.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the county attorney and the assessor's recommendation. Are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Moving
I
on.
voted aye.
Thank you, Supervisor Carroll. Counselor, second
Yes,
item.
Executive session item 3 on the addendum agenda concerns a proposed settlement in the matter of Tucson AZ. This is Jensen Horowitz Dickey versus Pima County, Arizona Tax Court case number 2012-82. This case concerns plaintiff's challenge to the valuation of real property and improvements located at 10315 East Broadway Boulevard. That's the corner of Broadway and Howland. The subject property is currently managed under a long-term lease as a retail pharmacy store by Walgreens Corporation. The proposed settlement would reduce the full cash value of the subject property from its current assessed value for tax year 2013, and that value will statutorily roll over to 2014. The legal classification and assessment ratios remain the same. The resulting tax decrease for tax year 2013 will be approximately $10,542.30. The total tax decrease when you factor in 2014 is being $21,370. As part of the settlement, both sides agree to bear their own costs and attorney's fees. The Pima County Assessor and Pima County Attorney recommend this proposed settlement.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair,
Supervisor Elias.
I move that we accept the county attorney's recommendation and the county assessor's recommendation.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the county attorney and county assessor's recommendation. Are there any objections? Hearing none, Supervisor Carroll, you're voting aye?
Yes.
Okay, if there are no objections, and motion carries unanimously. Moving on to the next item, Counselor.
Yes, the last item we have, Madam Chair, members of the board, executive session item 4 on the addendum agenda concerns a request by the law firm of Deaconcini, McDonald, Gedman, and Lacey that Pima County waive a conflict of interest to allow that firm to represent Sunnyside Unified School District in a matter pertaining to real property taxes assessed on property owned or allegedly owned by the district in the vicinity of Gallego Elementary School. Waivers of conflict of interest are a matter solely within the discretion of the board.
Madam Chair,
Supervisor Elias.
move to waive conflict.
Second.
Motion and a second to waive conflict. Do I hear any objections? And Supervisor Carroll, again, you're voting aye.
I vote aye.
If there are no objections, and motion carries unanimously. Moving on then back to the regular agenda. Board of Supervisors sitting as other boards. Flood Control District Board, item 5, riparian and habitat mitigation, and item 6, an award of contract. for solicitation number 119948. What's the pleasure of the board on these items?
Madam Chair, I move to approve item 5 and the riparian habitat mitigation and award of the contract solicitation number 119948 to Stantec Consulting Services for $700,000.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. I think Supervisor Valadez made the second prior to Supervisor Carroll. So officially, the motion was seconded by Supervisor Valadez. Do I hear any objections? And Supervisor Carroll, you're voting aye?
I vote yes.
Okay, since there are no objections, motion carries unanimously for items 5 and 6. We're now moving on to the consent calendar. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address us on any item on the consent calendar at this time?
Madam Chair,
Supervisor Elias.
seeing no one come forward to address us on any of the items of consent, I'll move consent in its entirety.
Second.
Motion and a second to move consent in its entirety. Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, motion carries with Supervisor Carroll voting aye. Is that correct, Supervisor Carroll?
Correct, I vote yes.
All right. Moving on then to item 9, County Administrator revisions to personnel policy. What's the pleasure of the board on this item?
Madam Chair, I'll move item 9.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the revisions to personnel policy, item 9. Do I hear objections? And Supervisor Carroll, you have no objections?
No objections, I vote yes.
Okay, there are no objections. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item 10, Industrial Development Authority, Tucson Medical Center, in Resolution 2014-19. What's the pleasure of the board on this item?
Madam Chair,
Supervisor Elias.
I'm going to go ahead and move item 10, including resolution 2014-19, and just say for those folks that are here from TFC, we appreciate your work and you're valued in our community.
And you're declaring an emergency, correct?
Declaring an emergency, that's correct.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve item 10 and resolution 2014-19. Are there objections? Hearing none, motion carries with Supervisor Carroll. You're voting aye, is that correct?
Yes, I vote yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Moving on to Development Services, item 11, I believe we have a speaker.
Good morning, Madam Chairman of the Board. My name is Kit Mars with A.W. Mars Incorporated, representing Community and Community 2 Partnerships, the owner of the land for Community 3 plat. And I just came this morning and wanted to personally thank Chairwoman Bronson for her help. This project plat ends about 10 years of work, which included a rezoning, comprehensive plan amendment in the last 3 years working with Tucson Water. And I'd also like to personally thank County Administrator Huckleberry and his staff. They acted very professionally in helping us work with Tucson Water to resolve this issue over the last number of years. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and I'm glad you finally got it resolved.
Madam Chair?
Supervisor Elias.
I'm going to go ahead and move item 9, final plat with assurances, case number P1205-140, Camino Verde, lots 1 through 79, common areas A, B, and C.
Second.
Motion and second to approve item 11. Are there objections? Hearing none, motion carries with Supervisor Carroll voting aye. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, Supervisor Bronson.
Thank you. We now are on to hearings, franchises, licenses, and permits. Items 12 through 14, as well as item 15, traffic ordinance number 2014-4. What's the pleasure of the board on these items 12 through 15?
Madam Chair, seeing no one come forward to speak at these hearings, I move to close the public hearing, approve item 12, liquor license, case number 14-01-9169. Item 13, extension of premises patio permit. Item 14, extension of premises and patio permit. And item 15, traffic ordinance, including ordinance number 2014-4.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve items 12 through 15. Are there any objections? And to close public hearing.
I do close public hearing.
If there are no objections, motion carries unanimously with Supervisor Carroll voting aye. Is that correct, Supervisor Carroll?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on then to the addendum agenda, item 5, real property condemnation and resolution 2014-21. What's the pleasure of the board on this item?
Move approval and the approval of resolution number 2014-21.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve item 5 and resolution number 2014-21. Are there any objections?
Yes, I object.
One objection. Are there any other objections?
No, ma'am.
No object. Supervisor Carrollton is voting aye. Motion carries 4-1.
That's correct. I voted in the affirmative.
Supervisor Miller voting nay. Moving on to the final item, item 6, Conservation and Acquisition Committee. What's the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair,
Supervisor Miller.
I move to approve the appointment of Chris Maria to replace Robert Black for District 1.
Is there a second? I'll second that. Yes, sir.
I'll second.
Okay, there. I think Supervisor Elias just seconded it. There's motion and a second on the floor. Are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries with Supervisor Carroll voting aye. Is that correct, Supervisor Carroll?
Yes, for the new commissioner. Congratulations.
Thank you. Now we move on to call to the audience. If I could ask Keith Von Hannigan to come forward. You have 3 minutes, sir.
That's good.
Good morning, all. My name is Keith Van Heinigen. We're rocking this morning, getting things done, huh? So, let me get this straight. 4 board members rape District 1 of road repair funds and give it to my district. Why? Because a lot of rich people live over there? I mean, or was it you just chose to disenfranchise District 1 voters for being conservative? I have to ask these questions. I have to wonder, is Tom Horn or one of his representatives in the room? Because mob rule doesn't befit the county government. What you did by taking funds out of one district as payback for logical thought is amazing. To sit up there and think you're doing a great job after all these years. Most of you have sat up there for quite a long time. The tragic shape we're in is because of y'all. That's the tragedy. And when our media says it's one person's fault because she hasn't made bonds with people, I find that ludicrous. She has done nothing but try. She's the only fresh idea in the room. I would love to see you all act like a normal, civilized, governing body. I just don't see it happening. I want to go through so many issues in this county, but we've all heard them before. It's just a matter of time to wake up. You're broke. You don't have any more money. And now I'm going to go deal with the city and their attitudes and their wastes of money. Have a good one.
Next, I'd like to call Christopher Cole.
Good morning. My name is Christopher Cole. Gee, I think you knew that already, didn't you? I reside here in Tucson, Arizona. Last week I spoke about priorities, and Supervisor Carroll responded by saying that basically he preferred to just accept whatever staff recommended. Over this last week, I've given considerable thought to that. And I've come to ask a question. If setting priorities, setting policy is not your job, then what is your job? And in light with that, as has been said many times, the roads in Pima County are in terrible shape. Now, I've been told I think like a lawyer. I find that highly insulting, even if it's true. And I think a very good case could be made, however, that Pima County could be held responsible. It could be held that Pima County is committing malfeasance, if not nonfeasance, and letting the roads deteriorate the way they are and continue to deteriorate. Pima County could be held responsible if an accident happens and somebody dies because of the deteriorated roads, if emergency response vehicles cannot respond in time because of the deteriorated roads. So I'm going to offer a suggestion, and this is not my suggestion. This actually came from a school crossing guard that I talked with this morning. Why don't you find out exactly what it's going to cost to completely rebuild the roads in Pima County? Go to the taxpayers and say, look, repairs aren't going to work. We've got to completely rebuild the roads. Get the bond issue. Start at one edge of the county and just sweep right through and rebuild every road. Then maybe you'll be able to keep the roads up with what little money the state gives you. The point is, however, this is an emergency. And it is quite possible that people are going to die because Pima County is either unable or unwilling or some combination thereof to get the roads fixed. I thank you.
Thank you. Jim Tigas?
Good morning, Supervisors. I just wanted to come and invite you and the public to the Tucson Invitational Games. It's our 13th year, and we've increased our attendance over 20% over last year. Last year we sold 9,000 hotel rooms. This year we're over 12,000 hotel rooms. It happens from now until the end of the month. Keno Baseball South Quad is hosting 65 baseball teams from 30 different states. This year is one of the first years that we've had someone from Arizona come. Arizona Christian University is here right now, in fact. Both their softball team, which is playing on the Lincoln Park on the east side, and their baseball team is playing at Keno Sports Complex. I left passes with Deputy Clerk of the Court, and I'd like to invite you all. They're good for the whole month, and I'd like to invite the public out as well. Thank you very much.
And do you have a website that people can, if they want to find out?
We do.
Okay.
But we're not in the office, so don't call us. It's TIG for Tucson Invitational Games, TIGsports.com. And the complete schedule is on there for both baseball and softball.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
TIG for ticket.
Mary Ann Murphy?
Good morning, board. Where do I begin? Mr. Carroll, hello, how are you?
Hello, Ms. Murphy. I'm looking forward to your comment.
Are you in Washington?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you looking into that FHA HUD deal that started Green Valley and Haven Golf, Management Golf? Are you looking into that?
No, ma'am, I haven't gotten to that yet. Thank you, though.
Okay, with our 50th anniversary coming up here, did you get to President Obama to let him know I want him to come down here and celebrate with us? Come on down.
I'll make sure if I see him that his fellow better.
I'm sending the letter. I'm sending the letter inviting him in. And Senator McCain, if you run into him, I think everybody should join us in Green Valley for its 50th anniversary. All people.
I'll be having breakfast with Senator McCain tomorrow morning. Thank you very much.
Oh, hey, tell him, in my defense of the American flag on August 6th, I was arrested with injury
Yeah.
to my,
we can't.
to my right
Yeah,
shoulder.
I know, but
That's okay.
we've got.
I understand.
laws.
But one of the things that's coming up, on March 18th, I am on trial for my flag rescue. That it's coming up. I'm giving everybody a little reminder here. I would appreciate support. What I believe is going on trial here is the First Amendment, is free speech, is protected speech, and all kinds of other things. But I got a copy of this, and I gave, Mr. Carroll, I gave Jennifer a copy of this stuff. I'm also, unfortunately, in the midst of submitting an ACLU complaint regarding everything that's been going on with me, my homeowners association, the Green Valley Council, and Pima County. Denial of First Amendment liberties, including things like search and seizure, cruel and unusual punishment, everything I've been put through. Like I said, I can't handle it alone, so I'm going to run it by the ACLU and see if this is something that they might be interested in. I have a copy of the cover papers that came with the complaint form, one for everybody, because First Amendment, ACLU stuff that would come to this, you might want to head things off the pass if you got stuff like this going on. But I'm surprised I was tolerant for so long, because my civil rights, civil liberties have been being trashed since I first contacted my homeowners association 18 months ago. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address us at call to the audience? If not, then without objection, this meeting stands adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
Did you hear me?
U of A journalism.
Did you hear what I was?
Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna go. It's gonna hit the fan. What is? Do you know what this? Oh, they're the journalists.
Yeah, U of A journalism.
The young people. Anyways, see you next time.
See you next week.
Thank you.
This was told to me by a lawyer. What's brown and black? That was told to me by a lawyer.
See, now we're just being mean. Oh, we. Oh. No, I didn't mean that. Take care, Jim.
going, Brad?
Of course, but I also put an E on the addition Would you like to contribute money?
Yeah, exactly.
My mom said she met you the other day, so I wanted to come and amazing. I see these here. There's just a lot of worrying, but have you made money for Monica? Yeah, we've made a lot of races. So we got that. Were you at the left or right?